Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in to the 143. We're coming at you live with episode 129. Nick, how we feeling?
It's another good day / week, bringing more content consistently, as we always do. Just another banger inbound for you.
Yeah, this week, the only things happening are soccer and some stuff in the NBA. So we're obviously going to talk about soccer. Just kidding. We're going to talk about a little bit about the NBA. But start us off, stat of the week, brought to you by our sponsor, Andrews Logistics. We're going to go with the Texas Rangers. There has not been much going right for the Texas Rangers as of late. But you know what? We may have found a diamond in the rough. Derek Hill hit his third consecutive home run against the Orioles on Sunday. He had two straight at bats with home runs on Sunday, and previously on Saturday, his last at bat was a home run. 3 consecutive at bats, 3 consecutive home runs. We just called him up from Round Rock, our AAA team. Previously was with Washington last season. We traded for him. So he's been nobody saw it coming, but me and Nick actually scouted him in spring training this year. Saw him hitting bombs in the cage. Came in 9th inning, pinch run double. We saw him hit when nobody was hitting that game that we were at. Not even Corey or Marcus or any of our guys. So props to Derek Hill. He's been on a little bit of a tear since being called up this season, but that's the stat of the week.
Yeah, we saw that one coming from a mile away. Knew our boy back in the Arizona days. So, that was we were just waiting on that one to happen. Your player of the week's going to be Wyatt Langford, who had himself a day on Sunday Night Baseball.
Did he ever?
Hitting for the cycle, but it was impressive the way he did it. First at bat, he gets a triple, straight to left field, no awkward bounces, no bobbles, anything like that, just pure speed, getting around the bases and beating out the throw. The double was kind of a slow blooper that got hit into right field, fielded cleanly. He just legs out a double and then gets an infield single for his third hit of the game, and then fourth at bat, he just yams one down the corner and hits for the cycle. So this season he's hit a grand slam, hit for the cycle, and an inside the park home run. So he's been cooking just this last month as well, and he's definitely your American League Rookie of the Year. Lock it in right now. In July.
He's been Player of the Week / Stat of the Week for a good bit this season.
Like 3 or 4 times. This is like at least his 3rd time.
This might be 5. I don't know. But he also, by the way, this is your bonus stat of the week, is the first rookie ever to hit the cycle inside the park home run and a grand slam in the same season. So, like Nick said, AL Rookie of the Year. I don't know how you could give it to anyone else because I don't know any other AL rookies, to be honest with you. So that just means he's the only one getting his name out there. So he better be AL Rookie of the Year. But also, the MLB Awards likes to cheese the Rangers. So if that happens this year, I'll know that something is rigged. Okay. Could the Rangers be turning it around? That's another episode for another time. But those two, Derek Hill and Wyatt Langford, are sure making their claim to the throne.
They're doing their part, that's for sure.
Speaking of thrones, let's talk about the NBA and King James. Okay? So a lot of stuff has been happening this week and last week in terms of NBA trades. The Mavs signed Klay Thompson. Is he washed or not? Paul George signs with the Sixers. Is he washed or not? There's a lot of things happening, but you know what made the biggest headline, Nick?
LeBron James Jr.
Yeah, Bronny James getting drafted to the Lakers at pick number 55 in this year's NBA draft will be the first father-son duo to play on an NBA court together. LeBron James and Bronny James playing together. But that's not what we're here to talk about, the historical significance. We're here to talk about the fact that this is an absolute joke. And I'm just going to let you go ahead and discuss it, and then we'll dive
This
into
just
it.
proves that the NBA's been a joke. I mean, obviously we've been skeptical of it the last year or so, but it's all just a show now.
Yeah.
The way that whole thing, I mean, even in the interview after, whenever they were talking to Bronny, and he was trying to say that he got drafted because of his ability, and it was like, okay, you averaged like 1 point a game. And
Yeah.
it was a miracle if you even sniffed the court. So it was like, yeah, you obviously did get drafted because of your daddy. And then it came out later that um, his agent was telling teams that if they drafted him, he was going to go play overseas, or if a team that wasn't the Lakers drafted him, he was going to go play overseas. And so, this just goes to show that it's just a joke over there in the NBA. It's all just a show.
Yeah. So Bronny played a year at USC and played as generous. He averaged 4 points, 2 assists, and 2 rebounds on the season. And he had a teammate who averaged 16 points, 8 assists, and like 4 rebounds. And that guy went undrafted. Bronny got drafted with awful numbers, didn't start. I mean, anybody else. His agent came out and said if his name was John Smith, basically saying the nepotism rumors were false. It's not because of who his dad is that he got drafted. If he had been some random guy, he would have still gotten drafted. And that's just not true. He was awful in college. Okay. And I don't care how much upside a guy has. They don't get drafted when they're not good in college. Now, I'm not saying he can't be good in the future, but what he has shown so far is that he's not good enough to be a professional basketball player. The only reason Bronny gets drafted is because LeBron wants him on the team. Rumors were Rich Paul, their agent, were telling teams if you draft Bronny, he's not going to play for you. Only the Lakers can draft him. So not only that, but they were gatekeeping a player, but nobody else wanted him. That was also the thing. Nobody else wanted Bronny James, okay? They wanted actual guys that can play in the NBA. But it's just ridiculous because nowhere else do you see a guy with these stats going pro. I mean, it's crazy. And it makes the league look bad.
It definitely does make the league look bad because it was kind of a joke leading up to the draft that, or I guess not a joke, but people knew that teams were going to highly seek after LeBron, or seek after Bronny or something like that so they could get his dad. But then it was like, well, Bronny didn't really seem to be that good, so he's not going to be an asset anywhere. And then the Lakers end up absolutely wasting a pick on this kid who's going to do nothing for their organization. Like Joseph said, he wasn't even a starter at the school that he played at, and their best player didn't even get drafted. So it's like, what are you doing? It's a waste.
I'm honestly like, I'm not trying to rip on Bronny James as a person or whatever. Like, you want to get any way you can get a shot in professional sports, like you got to take it. And obviously the argument is people all around the world for careers and jobs or whatever. Nepotism is a real thing. It's about who you know. It's about connections. So obviously Bronny James has the ultimate connection in LeBron James to get into the NBA. But here's what I'm going to say. This looks really bad, not for Bronny James. This looks bad for the Lakers, for LeBron, and the NBA. And it looks really bad for LeBron because of this. LeBron is clearly more focused on making memories now than he is on winning another championship. And that's something that Michael Jordan never, ever would have done.
Not my goat.
Yeah, so exactly. So like Michael Jordan won 6 championships. LeBron wants to say, and he has said, he believes he's the greatest basketball player of all time. Well, buddy, to be the greatest basketball player of all time, you've got to match or have more rings than the guy that everyone else considers the greatest of all time. But now you're just focused on playing with your son, which is fine, but you're not winning another one.
Yeah, no one cares that you were old enough to play with your son and stuck around long enough to play with your son. What we care about is rings, all right? You want to get judged GOAT status, go win a championship. No one cares that you're playing with your son. All right,
and he
that's
hasn't
not going
cared
to
for a
change
while.
Anyone's opinion of you. Definitely not over here at Under Review. We've said it many a time before, and we'll say it again. Michael Jordan's the GOAT. You're just a nobody.
I agree. And let me talk about the Lakers organization for a second. Because, Nick, aren't correct me if I'm wrong, but are sports organizations not businesses in and of
They
themselves?
absolutely are. They're
They absolutely are.
moneymakers.
Right. And so you want to be successful as a business. Success in sports is winning. Okay. And the Lakers are the most prestigious organization in the National Basketball Association. That's just how it is. They are the most expensive organization, which means they're the most prestigious. By the way, NFL, that's the Cowboys. I'm just letting everyone know. But even though, and the Cowboys are also making themselves look bad, which is not the discussion right now. But the Lakers made themselves look awful in drafting Bronny James because they're over here just letting LeBron live out his dreams. And you know what? LeBron wants to play with his son. That's whatever. He's not going to be the GOAT. Okay. But the Lakers, this is awful for them because as a business, you're constantly looking towards the future. Well, you know what you just did? You wasted one of your picks, a player that you could develop and potentially turn out to be a great player just because you're letting LeBron play with his son.
It's just no vision from the front office right there.
No.
You're just blindly following one of your players. Guess you're just not focused on winning championships this year. You just said, "Hey, whatever." That's your decision. Like Joseph said, they're one of the most prestigious franchises. Period. I think in sports ever. So it's just that's just not. It shouldn't be like them at all.
Their bitter rival, the Boston Celtics, just won it. They just watched them break the tie of championships all time. Now Boston has the most championships in the NBA at 18 championships, right? They just watched them break that tie. The Celtics are away, but they're re-signing their good players. And the Lakers are over here who clearly need players. They have been awful. And who did they go out and get? Bronny James, who averaged 4 points at USC on the bench. USC is not even one of the better basketball schools right now. So, and me and Nick here, we're not huge basketball guys, but we know enough to tell you this: when a guy averages 4 points in a game,
probably not drafting him.
No, exactly. You're not drafting him. I mean, that's like coming out of college in football and averaging 10 receiving yards a season. I mean, you don't get drafted at that point.
A whopping performance. Performance.
And it is nepotism, but it's just the fact that it's the Lakers, and the reason it makes ESPN look bad is because the entire draft, you had two rounds in the NBA draft. You had an entire round of actually good players coming out of college and Europe. The one I don't even know who got drafted 1 overall. You know why? All we were talking about was who's going to get drafted at number 55 in the second round, which is the last round of the draft, if I may clarify. Who's going to get drafted in the last round of the draft to the Lakers at pick number 55? That's embarrassing to the league.
It was made a bigger deal than what it should have been. I mean, I don't really think anyone really cared that much, but yeah, everyone was just making a huge deal out of it, and it was like, it's whatever. Everyone kind of knew it was going to happen, but
you can't.
Everyone look bad.
And again, you can't be mad at Bronny. Obviously, his dream came true, but it's just the fact that you are a professional sports organization. You rely on viewership and your views, and it's been tanking the last few years. People have not been watching. And now you just made a guy who sat a bench warmer in college. You just made him like the new face of the league somehow, and it's just embarrassing. It's a bad look, and
I would imagine that wouldn't make your fans happy at all because they want to win. They're ready to win a championship, and you're over here, having family reunions with your draft picks. That's not going to make any of your fans happy.
That summed it up perfectly right there. Attaboy. That's it. Family reunion. That's what you did. A family reunion. Mm-hmm. I love that. All right.
Been sitting on that one all episode, had you? Just couldn't spit it out.
I loved it.
So, here's to end our shows in under review. I brought you a quote from the Rocky Balboa. All right? Ooh. All I want to do is go the distance. And that's the truth.
That is the truth. We thank you for tuning in this week. And we'll see you next week to talk about a real sports organization, hopefully. But we'll see you next week on Under Review.